Let me just have to figure out your room. Are you done or do you need this?
All right, y'all. We give praise, esteem, and honor to Abba and Shamaim. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Pick us up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they was testified me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come by Abba's name, and you receive me not, and if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. Had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamaim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. So I say, man, we're going to start. Shalom, Jay. We're going to start looking at this mercy seat. We're going to pick this up in Numbers chapter 7. We'll pick it up at verse 84. Numbers chapter 7, verse 84. This, the dedication of the altar in the day that it was anointed by the princess of Yasharal. 12 chargers of silver, 12 silver bowls, 12 spoons of gold. I don't need a hat. I got one. No, go sit down. All right. Okay, then take it over there. Each charger of silver, 130. Each bowl, 70. All silver vessels, 2,400. After the shekel of the sanctuary. The golden spoons, 12 full of incense, 10 apiece. After the shekel of the sanctuary. All gold of the spoons was in 120. All the oxen for the burnt offerings, 12 bullocks, the rams, 12, the lambs of first year, 12, with their meat offering, and the kid of the goats for a sin offering, 12. All the oxen for sacrifice and peace offerings, 24 bullocks. The rams, 60, the goats, he-goats, 60, the lambs of the first year, 60. This, the dedication of the altar. After that, it was anointed. And when Moses was on to the tabernacle of the congregation to speak with him, then he heard the voice of one speaking unto him from off the mercy seat that was upon the ark of the testimony, from between the two cherubims, spake he unto him. I want you to come over here to Ezekiel chapter 10. I'm going to give you I'm going to set the framework of something. We're going to look at Ezekiel 10, Ezekiel 1, Exodus 24. As you know, we do stuff, we got to set the framework, lay the foundation down before we go further. Of course, you know, we've been talking about the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat, which is Kaporeth, Kaf, Pei, Rosh, and Tau. It's mercy seat, place of atonement, the golden plate of propitiation, on which the high priest sprinkled the seat 7 times on the Day of Atonement, symbolically reconciling Yahuwah and his chosen people. The slab of gold on top of the Ark of the Covenant, which measured 2.5 by 1.5 cubits on it, part of it, where the 2 golden cherubims facing each other, whose outstretched wings came together above and constituted the throne of Elohim. You know, a lid used on the cover of the sacred ark, the mercy seat. Peace me. Let's come over here to Ezekiel chapter 10.
You don't need anything. Come on.
Ezekiel 10 and 1. Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims appeared as it were sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. So again, I'm going to read that again. Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament. So pause, because we got to run it down. Let's come to Genesis chapter 1, verse 6. This is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 6. Elohim said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Elohim made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. It was so. And Elohim called the firmament Shamaim. And the evening and the morning were the second day. Now, why am I focusing on that? Because when he said he saw in the firmament, so he saw in the heavens. I want you to come to Revelation chapter 6. want you to come to Revelation chapter 6, about verse 12. Remember, we finna grab Ezekiel. We in Ezekiel 10. We finna grab Ezekiel 1 and Exodus 24. This is Revelation 6 and 12. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars of Shamaim fell into the arats, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And the Shamaim departed as a scroll, and when it rolled together, every mountain and island were moved out of their places. The Maliks of the Arats, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, every bondman, every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rock of the mountains. Peace, Brother Omar. And you can read that in Isaiah 2. Isaiah chapter 2, I should say. And said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sit on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, who shall be able to stand? We're looking at Revelation 6 because they're seeing his throne in the firmament. Just so you can see the imagery in a different location. This is Ezekiel 10 and 1. Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them as it were a sapphire stone, as the appearance and the likeness of a throne. Let's go to Exodus chapter 24, because we can knock that one out and be out the way. Exodus chapter 24. We can look at verse 8. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the covenant which Yahuwah had made with you, peace, brother, my man, concerning all these words. Then went up Moses and Aaron and Nadab and Abihu and 70 of the elders of Yasharal. And they saw the Elohim of Yasharal. And there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone. And it was as clear as the body of Shamaim in its clearness. Now, you're focusing on that because you see the same imagery. They've seen the mighty one, or the Elohim, or the God of Israel sitting on his throne. And under his feet, it appeared a sapphire stone. Let's take another trip to Isaiah chapter 6, because we're going to focus on something with the cherubims too. But we ain't talked about them cherubims in a long time either. Hey, be quiet. Hey, cut it out. Go sit down. Cut it out. No. Hey, if you come over here, you coming to sit with me. You coming to sit. No, you're not doing what you want to do. Isaiah chapter 6. No, don't come over here. 6 and 1. In the year that King Uzziah died, I also saw the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. And above it stood the seraphims, each one had 6 wings with the twain. He covered his face with the twain, he covered his feet with the twain, did he fly. And one cried unto another, Kadash, 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 Yahuwah of hosts, the whole Arats is full of his esteem. And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried. And the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, woe is me, for I'm undone, because I'm a man of unclean lips, and as well in the midst of people of unclean lips, for my eyes have seen the Malak, Yahuwah of hosts. Then flew one of the seraphims unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. Now, I mentioned that part with the fire, with that there for a reason. When we get back to Ezekiel 10, let's return. Peace, Brother Joseph, man. So back to Ezekiel 10 and 1. Then I looked, and behold, the firmament that was above the head, Shalom, Sister Gina, that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them as it were sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen and said, go in between the wheels. Let me explain to you. Hey, be quiet. I don't want to hear nothing else. Boy, I get up and knock them lips off your face, boy. I know a lot of people talk about them wheels. You hear about them wheels, but just understand what these wheels are. The Hebrew word for it is gal, gal. Gamal, lamad, gamal, lamad. It's not a wheel in the sense of a wheel. It's simply a whirlwind or a whirling. That's all it is. Heavens or a rolling thing or a wheel or the dust. So let me give you an example out of the text so where you can see that. Jeremiah 23. So just understand when you see the wheels, that's just the heavens. It's not like an actual literal wheel. This is Jeremiah chapter 23. Whatever verse I have, man. Hang on, looking over it. There it is. Right there. Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 16. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, hearken not unto the words of the prophets that prophesy unto you. They make you worthless. They speak a vision of their own heart and not of the mouth of Yahuwah. They say, still unto them that despise me, Yahuwah hath said, you shall have peace. And they say everyone that walk after the imagination of their own heart, no evil shall come upon you. Now, of course, what he's saying is you got individuals who prophesying, telling people who living in sin that they're going to be good, and those who walk after the plots, plans, and devices of their own mind, that ain't nothing bad going to happen to you. And that's a sour deal. For who has stood in the counsel of Yahuwah and perceived and heard his word? Who have marked his word and heard it? Behold, a whirlwind of Yahuwah is gone forth in fury, even a grievous whirlwind. It shall fall grievously upon the head of the wicked. The anger of Yahuwah shall not return until he have executed, till he perform the thoughts of his heart. And the latter days, you shall consider it perfectly. Let's look at whirlwind in Jeremiah 23 and see what you get. Now, whirlwind here is going to be Sahar, Samak, Ayin, and Raj. That's a tempest, a storm, a whirlwind, i.e., a hurricane. So when he say he coming with a grievous whirlwind, that's what you can, the imagery that you can place in your mind, a hurricane. Now, in contrast to these wheels, here it's a whirlwind. In this instance, the heavens itself. Come back to Ezekiel chapter 10. We in verse 2. And again, I read that. That's gal, gal. Whirl of dust, chaff, wheel, whirling, whirl, whirlwind, wheel. Heavens, a rolling thing, a wheel. Now, this word itself is only used about 11 times, and is used wheels most of the time. But in one instance, it's used as a framework of describing the heavens itself. And then sometimes it's used to describe an actual literal wheel. So this is Ezekiel 10:2. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen. I feel like I skipped something. I'm going to just go back to verse 1. Then I looked, and behold, the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims that appeared over them as it were a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen and said, go in between the wheels under the cherub and fill your hand with coals of fire from between the cherubims. That's why we read Isaiah 6. And scatter them over the city, and he went in my sight. Now the cherubim stood on the right side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. The esteem of Yahuwah went up from the cherub over the threshold of the house, and the house was filled with a cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of Yahuwah's esteem. The sound of the cherubim's wings was heard to the outer court as the voice of the Almighty Elohim when he speak. And it came to pass when he had commanded the man clothed with linen, saying, take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubims. Now this is important because you've seen that fire came from in between the cherubims in Isaiah 6, which means that this fire is under the throne, if you would. We're going to look at that because there's two cherubims that cover the mercy seat. And we'll look at the significance twofold of those two cherubims covering this mercy seat. Nevertheless, this is verse 6. It came to pass that when he commanded the man clothed with linen, saying, take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubims, then he went in and stood beside the wheels. And one cherub stretched forth his hand between the cherubims unto the fire, between the cherubims, and took and put into the hands of him that was clothed with linen, Shalom, who took it and went out. And there appeared to the cherubims the form of a man's hand under their wings. And when I looked, behold, the four wheels by the cherubims, one wheel by one cherub, another wheel by another cherub. And the appearance of the wheels as was the color of beryl stone. And as for their appearance, they four had one likeness, as if a wheel had been in the midst of a wheel. And when they went upon four sides, and they turned not as they went, but to the place whither their head looked, they followed it. And they turned not as they went. That's an example of that. Come over here to Romans. I'm about to forget what I want to say. I think it's Romans 8. That I desire. Yeah, that's it. Romans 8 and 14. For as many as are led by the Ruach of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. This is the verbiage that you get in the description of. They led by the Spirit, so they would be the sons of Elohim, if you would. But let's continue. This is Ezekiel 10 and 12. The whole body and their backs and their hands and their wings and the wheels were full of eyes round about, the wheels that they four had. As for the wheels, it was cried unto them in my hearing, O wheel. Everyone had four faces. The first face was the face of a cherub. The second face, peace, Eastman. The second face was the face of a man. The third face of a lion. And the fourth face of an eagle. And the cherubims were lifted up. This, the living creature that I saw by the river Kibar. This is what he described in what he saw in chapter 1. And when the cherubims went, the wheels went by them. And when the cherubims lifted up their wings to mount up from the arats, the same wheels also turned not from beside them. And when they stood. And when they were lifted up themselves, for the Ruach of the living creature in them. Then the esteem of Yahuwah departed from off the threshold of the house and stood over the cherubims. And the cherubims lifted up their wings and mounted up from the arats in my sight. And when they went out, the wheels also were besides them. Everyone stood at the door of the east gate of Yahuwah's house, and the esteem of the Elohim of Yasharal was over them above. This, the living creature that I saw under the Elohim of Yasharal by the river Kibar. I knew not that they were the cherubims. Everyone had four faces apiece. Everyone had four wings, and the likeness of a man's hand. The likeness of hands of a man was under their wings. And the likeness of their faces was the same faces which I saw by the river Kibar, and their appearances and themselves, and they went everyone straight forward. Now we come to chapter 1. We won't read the entirety of chapter 1, but I know we talked about chapter 1 before, and chapter 1 is bearing witness to the coming of the Lord. So I know a lot of people talk about, Ezekiel's chariots and the wheels, and people be confused by it, but it's just the esteem of Yahuwah on his throne. And he saw it again in Ezekiel 10. Now, we're just giving the visual description along with a few other places to make it plain so you can see that that's what the mercy seat represents. And then we'll go into that mercy seat, but at least at the bare minimum, we'll deal with the cherubims and what they represent in covering that throne. This is Ezekiel 1 and 3. I think we did it before, but if not, then it's the first time for everything. The word of Yahuwah came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzat, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kibar. The hand of Yahuwah there was upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, a fire enfolding itself, and brightness about it. Out of the midst thereof is the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire, out of the midst thereof the likeness of four living creatures. And this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. Now he going into all that. We're going to go into all that. Now verse 12 also goes into that Romans 8 and 14. And they went everyone straight forward, whither the Ruach was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. Because those that are led by the Ruach of Elohim is the sons of Elohim. Let's drop down. Ezekiel chapter 1. Verse 26. And above the firmament that was over their heads was a likeness of a throne. as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it, and the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward. And I saw as it was the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about it. And as the appearance of a bow that's in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the esteem of Yahuwah. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard the voice of one that spake. Now, you notice that he said, I see the color of amber and fire round about it. We've seen two places where he took fire from the altar that was underneath the throne. Let's come over here to Hebrews 12, which speaks to what's in Deuteronomy, as that your Elohim is a consuming fire. This is Hebrews chapter 12, verse 26. Make it 20. You know what? 23. Matter of fact, 22. Hebrews 12 and 22. But you are coming to Mount Zion, and to the city of the living Elohim, the heavenly Jerusalem, and to an innumerable company of Malachim, to the general assembly and the assembly of the firstborn, which are written in Shamaim, and to the Elohim, judge of all, and to the Ruachs of just men made perfect, to Yahushua, the mediator of the new covenant, to the blood of sprinkling that speak better things than that of Abel. See that you refuse not him that speak, for if they escape not who that refused him that spake on their rats, much more shall we not escape if we turn away from him that speak from Shamaim, whose voice then shook the Arats, but now have promised, saying, yet once more I shake not the Arats only, but also Shamaim. And this, yet once more signify the removing of those things that are shaken, as of the things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore we receive a malkuth which cannot be moved. Let us have grace, whereby we may serve Elohim acceptably with reverence and fear of Elohim. For our Elohim is a consuming fire. Come to Deuteronomy 4, just so you can see where that's at. We'd be remiss not to do so. Deuteronomy 4:24. For Yahuwah your Elohim is a consuming fire, even a jealous Elohim. So now, with that being said, let's come over here to Exodus 25, and let's begin this procedural walking down the things, man. You know, man, my dog, man, look at it, 25 and 10. I asked this question my dog asked yesterday, man. Hey, y'all loud. So, he asked this question in regards to what would the assembly of believers look like if the love of Hamashiach was present, or the love of God was present? How would you describe it? What does that tangibly, and I hate the term practically, what does that look like? You know what I'm saying? If somebody asked you that question, how would you describe to them how that looked like? I'll let you ponder upon that as I begin to read down how this ark and this mercy seat is to be constructed. Nevertheless, Exodus 25 and 10. They shall make an ark of shittim wood, 2 cubits and a half, the length thereof, and 1.5 cubits in the breadth thereof, and 1.5 cubits the height thereof. And you shall overlay it with pure gold. Within and without shall you overlay it, and shall make upon it a crown of gold round about. You shall cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them in the 4 corners thereof. 2 rings shall be in the one side of it, 2 rings in the other side of it. And you shall make staves of shittim wood, and overlay them with gold. And you shall put the staves into the rings of the sides of the ark, that the ark may be borne with them. The staves shall be in the rings of the ark, and they shall not be taken from it. And you shall put into the ark the testimony which I shall give you, which is what we read Saturday. That's the only thing that's in the ark, is the 2 tables of stone. And you shall make a mercy seat of pure gold, 2 cubits and a half, the length thereof, 1 cubit and a half, the breadth thereof. And you shall make 2 cherubims of gold of beaten work. You shall make them in the 2 ends of the mercy seat, and make 1 cherub on the one end and the other cherub on the other end. Of the mercy seat shall you make the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. The cherubims shall stretch forth their wings on high, covering the mercy seat with their wings. Their faces shall look one to another. Towards the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubims be. And you shall put the mercy seat above upon the ark, and in the ark shall you put the testimony that I shall give you. And there I will meet with you, and I will commune with you from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubims which are upon the ark of the testimony of all, which I've given you in commandment unto the sons of Yasharah. What's going on? Now, come over here to 1 Kings 8, and then we'll go look at 1 Chronicles 28. And this is just more stuff with the cherubim. Ain't nobody got no idea in their mind how you would communicate that to somebody if they said, you know, what does the assembly of believers look like? What does that look like? Because that's important. Ain't nobody got nothing. They can't think of nothing. You say people that reflect the character, but what does that look like? See, in this instance, we have to be specific. What does that look like? When you say the character of God, what does that look like? When we say the faithfulness of God, what does that look like? What does that tangibly and fundamentally look like? This is 1 Kings chapter 8, verse 4. And King Solomon and all the congregation of Yasharal that were assembled unto him were with him before the ark, sacrificing sheep and oxen, and could not be told nor numbered for multitude. And the priest brought in the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah unto his place, into the oracle of the house, to the most Kadash, under the wings of the cherubims. For the cherubim spread forth 2 wings over the place of the ark, and the cherubims covered the ark, and the staves thereof above. So let's come over here to 1 Chronicles 28 and 18. I might want some verses before that. This 2nd Chronicle, that's why I don't see what I want. Yeah, in this instance, I want us to be very, very laser specific. And I say that because that's not an incorrect answer right there. But individuals at times, well, I don't say at times, most people don't really deal well with broad answers, because that's when individuals will be able to take it and interpret it how they desire. See, this ain't even really for people who outside the house. It's really for people inside the house. You know what I'm saying? Say it should be like the kingdom of heaven, rejoicing, praising, uplifting the captain of our salvation, nonstop service and the fruits of God, no malice, confusion, peace, joyfulness of heart. And that's fair. But I need this to be laid even more specific than that. You think it would look like the people in Acts 2 or Acts 4 would function in one mind? And that's fair. But I need us to even be more specific than that. You know what I'm saying? Because we could actually be able to lay out tangibly. Now, that's those 2 things indeed, forgiving and compassionate. You should be able to lay out tangibly at least 15 to 20 different things that you could isolate. That you could literally isolate, like this, what it looked like. And some of these things we've been talking about recently. You know what I'm saying? Well, I say he wasn't asking me, he was asking everybody. But the question was good because niggas don't be, Emma say Pentecost, niggas don't be representative of that. You know what I'm saying? Mika mentioned selfless. Once I read this Chronicles 28, I'm going to read a couple spots and then we'll run it down. Because this is just an instance where I want us to be laser specific. You know what I'm saying? Because when we discussed it, other than some of the things that I mentioned, people were kind of broad. You know what I'm saying? But all y'all know these things. It just don't, shalom, Brother Marcus. It just might not automatically come to mind off the top. You know what I'm talking about? It's 1 Chronicles 28 and 9. And you, Solomon, my son, know you the Elohim of your Abba, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. For Yahuwah search all hearts and understand all the imaginations of the thoughts. And if you seek him, he will be found of you. Shalom, brother Ernest. But if you forsake him, he will cast you off forever. Take heed now, for Yahuwah have chosen to build a house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do. Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch and the houses thereof, and the treasuries thereof, and the upper chambers thereof, and the inner parlors thereof, and of the place of the mercy seat, and the pattern of all that he had by the Ruach, of the courts of the house of Yahuwah, and of all the chambers round about, of the treasuries of the house of Elohim, of the treasuries of the dedicated things, also for the courses of the priests and the Levites, for all the work of the service of the house of Yahuwah, and for all the vessels of the service in the house of Yahuwah, of gold by weight, for gold for all instruments, all manner of service, instruments of silver by weight, for all instruments of every kind of service. Now, I'm gonna say this here, like Emma answer gonna go with each answer with Acts 2, because that was Pentecost when that occurred. We'll grab some of the elements of the thing that Darius mentioned and what Mika mentioned, and it all comes together as a tangible thing that we can identify and say this is what it's supposed to look like. And it goes back to what we were discussing the other day. Like I was telling one of the sisters this the other day, but y'all already know this. When you read Revelation 7, it was only one congregation out of, I mean, not Revelation, but the 7 assemblies in Revelation, it was only one congregation that was exemplified what this man wanted. And that was Philadelphia, or brotherly love. It was the only one. Out of all the 7, everybody else out of pocket. See, I mention that because individuals assume because people be in the word, all the assembly is going to be on point. The sister I know literally said this the other day, like, oh, she thought when she got in this, everybody was going to be godly. You know what I'm saying? And I've told you this before. I don't know why people have that type of expectation in people. You know what I'm saying? But I've noticed a lot of people, whether male or female, have that thought process. Like I said, I ain't have no thought process because people are people. You know what I'm saying? People are going to be people. Some people are going to be full of crap. Some people are going to be serious. Some people are going to be 100. Some people are going to be faking. Some people dealing with stuff. Some people got issues. You know what I'm saying? Some people wicked as hell. You know what I'm saying? Some people are conniving. All type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Some people are malicious. Some people are sanctimonious, all type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But the root of the question that my dog asked, and why I'm even asking y'all so we can frame it up and look at it, even like I said, because we've been talking about it recently, is to get to the broader point that Mika mentioned on, and effectively what Darius done mentioned is to is that the spirit, character, and the faithfulness of the man that we claim to serve is ever present. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Jerry say making sure that equity exists, that whatever's yours is available to the next person. That would be the Acts 2 that each mentioned. That there's a place for mercy and grace to exist. Work is evenly distributed for the cause of the assembly, not forsaking the fruit of the spirit. Like I seen a Christian pastor say this because somebody was saying, like, you know, we got to practice on the fruits of the spirit. And he was like, oh, no, you tripping, bro. He said, you can't practice that. He said, you got to abide in the vine to bring forth that fruit. Man, if you would have seen how many of them people was basically cussing this man out without cussing him out because he simply said, you can't practice that. You got to abide in the vine. And I'm like, blood, you ain't said nothing wrong. Because Bruce get mad at me like, you can't practice the fruits of the spirit. That's not how that works. You don't practice fruit. But you know why we believe that we can practice fruit? Because people told you that lie. And then when you're not able to do it, then you get frustrated, blame God for it. But you can't practice fruit. Fruit is the offspring or the produce of a seed. The fruit is the evidence of the seed. A tomato doesn't practice being a tomato. You plant tomato seeds and tomatoes grow. You know what I'm saying? You plant mustard seeds and mustard trees grow. You plant apple trees and apples grow. That's the produce of the seed. So when you lay the seed up in you and you dwell in the seed, then that seed gonna bring forth fruit. It's gonna be it's the byproduct of something. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we have to shift on, you know, everybody be screaming about they know this and they know that, and I'll cut this up and you this, that, then the third. But boy, ain't nobody actually producing the byproduct of what that seed represents. That's why I say he that is born of God don't commit sin. He can't sin. His seed remain in him. And the seed is the word Elohim. So the word is in you. And blessed is the man who trusteth in Yahuwah, whose hope Yahuwah is, because he never ceased from yielding fruit. So when you believe, it's going to show the proof of it. And that's where we have to shift. Now, it's certain, you know what I'm saying? The things that we finna look at is the byproduct of the seed. Now, some people have some of these attributes naturally, and some people don't. Facts. The quicker you can get to the production, the better. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, it's just like, because I say I can't speak on Christian people. I see people say Christians do this, Christians do that. I can't speak on that. But what I can speak on is, boy, Bruce be ready to be telling niggas some of the dumbest junk I've ever heard. Or they see that people could make a decision that may not necessarily be, because we were talking about this last night. Come on, lady asked me about this here, because I was talking to some of our peoples, man, and they was more so framing up the framework like Paul was the issue because he was bucking the authority because Peter was the final authority. And I was like, you know, that's a common misconception, because he didn't leave Peter in charge per se. He said, upon this rock, I'm going to build my house. What individuals don't realize is when he asked him, who do men say that I am? And he said, you the son of Elohim, you the Mashiach. He said, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah. For flesh and blood haven't revealed this unto you, but my Father which is in heaven. So this is the foundation of the house or the body of believers. Because God opened his eyes. He gave him the revelation. You know what I'm saying? To understand something. He said, I'm going to build my house on you. But that's not an authority. You know, I told him, I say, man, you remember what he said in Matthew 20 when they were arguing about who would be the greatest? He said, hey, man, that's what the Gentiles do. He said, but he that's greatest among you, let him be a servant. And he said, I didn't come to be served, but I came to serve. You know what I'm saying? I say, that's not he was like, that's a problem. I'm like, no, that's not a problem. I say, the problem is that it's too many people who feel like because you teach a word or you lead a congregation that gives you ultimate authority over people's lives. Because what I was telling them is your authority stops once the assembly disengages, means they separate and they go their way. You don't have authority over a man in his house. You don't have authority over his children. You don't have authority over his spouse. Nigga, is you dumb? Like, no, that's not how that works. So they go to mentioning things as it pertains to that's a fact, man. You know what I'm saying? I say that's how people get oppressed. Because he said you ain't supposed to rule over my people with rigor. He didn't set apostles and prophets and pastors to oversee assemblies for them to rule over them. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what Peter telling you in 1 Peter 5. That's not what he set that up. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know, a preacher's supposed to have the tools and to give you the tools to be able to form yourself into who you need to be for God. Yeah, we could birth people through the gospel, quote unquote, like how Paul put it, as far as, you know, administering the word. But the reality is, I can't tell you what to do. I can tell you what I would do, and I can tell you what this word say do. But I can't tell you what to do. You know what I'm talking about as far as your life is concerned. When it comes to things of running the assembly, yeah, I can tell you what to do. Because everything gonna be done according to how this word say do it. Not how you feel like it should be done. Not when all that don't matter. Your personal thoughts and opinions don't matter. You know what I'm saying? And what did I mean by that? When you come into ministry work of the word, you have to separate your personal thoughts, opinions, and ideas from that because they don't matter. It don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because you can mess around and do something which you could be right in your mind. You know what I'm talking about? And it'd be incorrect according to the word. And your prime example of that is David them tried to bring that ark up according to their mind and not according to the judgment of what the word say to do it. Because they thought this would be a better idea. No, that's not how this works, man. And a lot of people don't really have that thought process because they feel like I'm going to do it how I think it should be done. It doesn't matter what you think. Same way he told Moses, man, you better make this according to the pattern I showed you in the mount. You can't go off script and be like, I'm gonna do it how I want to do it. That's not how that works. That's not how any of that works. You know what I'm saying? Like the man gave you the blueprint of how he want his stuff ran. You know what I'm saying? If you want to run it how you want to run it, then you can go start your own. And you can run it however you want to run it. But if you do it in his name, that man gonna knock your head off your shoulders. Because it was funny, man, we were talking to the dude from Chicago. That nigga was 100% Chicago. You know what I'm saying? But I was rocking with what he was talking about because he just expressed it in Chicago lingo, stuff that we done talked about, like, boy, Yahuwah is a gangster. He's a gangster. And what we mean by gangster is it's my way or no way. Period, point blank. And if you don't do it how I want to do it, I'm gonna knock your head off your shoulders, man. Find you somebody to play with. You know what I'm saying? Like, boy, I keep it on me. I'll knock your head off your shoulders, find you somebody to play with. And, you know, it's the balance of how Paul put it. You got to understand the goodness and the severity of Elohim. See, years ago, people used to get upset, like, oh, you only talk about people going to hell. But we talked about both. You only heard the severity because you live in foul. You live in foul. So you that's the only thing you're going to pick up on. But you got to understand that as merciful and gracious as this man is, he's not to be played with. He is not to be played with. You're not dealing with no sucker. You know what I'm talking about? You're not dealing with no buster. See, case in point, just on the natural side of things, because I know you've seen everybody, they all up in arms by Klay Thompson and Megan Thee Stallion. I don't care about neither one of them people. But what I can tell you from that said situation is what you see sometimes how people approach the word. See, Megan Thee Stallion been out here whoring. And you know what a lot of women in the United States of America see when they see her? They see them because they've been out here whoring. They've been out here whoring, so they see themselves. So when they seen Klay Thompson, they thought he was a goofy. Thinking, okay, I can put this monkey on this man and he gonna fall in love with me and I can sink my teeth into his riches and his wealth. So all these people seen that if this man married his whore, then there's hope for them for being a whore. And that didn't happen. And that's why people are upset. Now, why did I mention that? Because a lot of people want to whore around and be unfaithful to God and still be joined to God and think that you can stay a whore and you're going to benefit off his riches and he going to wife you. And he not, because he ain't no sucker. You know what I'm saying? He ain't no sucker. Now, the one thing that Yahuwah not going to do, that man going to do is, see, men will entertain a woman who's a whore. Sleep with her and everything. Might go out to dinner with her, do all type of stuff with her. And in her mind, oh, he want to be with me. But he don't, though. He don't, though. And a lot of ladies be confused with that. Because why would he do X, Y, Z if he ain't want me like that? Because it don't matter, you know, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I don't care about doing X, Y, Z. Once I don't want to be around you, I'm out. Now, the difference is Yahuwah not going to do that with you. You can't live a foul type of way and then hope that because you do a few good deeds, then I'm going to wife you. Remember what he said, hey man, he that commit fornication is one flesh. Should we make the members of a Mashiach and join them to a harlot? He said, God forbid. That means we would have to go from being unfaithful to faithful. You would have to make a complete conversion in order for this man to be joined to you. Now, I'm just using the framework of the psychology of people, because this whole scenario, if you just get out of you, whatever thoughts process you got by that man and that woman, and you just look at the thoughts that are being espoused by people, the human psychology on this particular topic is absolutely fascinating on both sides of the ledger. You say that was never going, it ain't even about having a strong, successful father, because that nigga's a whore. But a lot of times people see men and they think this man is a certain type of man, and that he don't be like that. And they be thrown because you're going off of appearance. So you looking at him, he light-skinned, he seemed kind of corny. And you thought he was a Russell Wilson type of dude. You know what I'm saying? Who in reality was pressed to be with that woman. Because he really wanted to be with Sierra. Like literally wanted to be with her. You know what I'm saying? So when you take something like that into account, that's different. I don't think this man really wanted to be with this woman in that type of capacity. Now, why do I mention that? Because again, him would be the inverse. Because a lot of people see Yahuwah They think he's beautiful, but I just want to get whatever benefit or pleasure I believe I can get out of this. I don't really want to be with him, though. I don't really want it. You know what I'm saying? And when I mention these things, and if you see people discussing this and you take that point of perspective that I hold with it, and you look at the comments from people on either side of it, and you can understand the psychology of why they're commenting the way that they're commenting. Because people think that they're invested in these celebrities, but a lot of ladies see themselves in this woman because they are her. They live like her. They think like her. Some dudes see themselves in Clay because they wish they were him. They wish they were a wealthy man who could just sleep with beautiful women unencumbered and discard them at their will. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to really sit and look at that type of stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Say that comes as your mentality, not your person. Indeed. And then when you turn around and you step back and you look at it from the word, and you can see how people treat you who are like this. Because I remember telling Misha people this a long time ago. And I've told y'all this before. A lot of people want to run up on God and I don't want to be with you yet. It's some horn I want to do out here in the world. But you'll be here when I get back. And he not going to be there when you get back. Because he's not a sucker. You know what I'm saying? He's not that pressed to be with you. And I think that's where a lot of human beings get stuff twisted all the way around the board. It's because you are too pressed to be with somebody. So you think they are also. And then consequently, people think God operate like this. And he don't. Because this man don't play. You know what I'm saying? As I was having a conversation with a lady about this here, she was like, men who don't pursue, or this, that, then, the third. I'm like, baby, there's nobody on this earth, male, female, young, old, child, whatever, is worth chasing. Ain't nobody on this earth worth all that. I don't care who you are. And if you think that you worth chasing, you have a mental defect. Ain't nobody worth all that. Ain't nobody worth spending all that energy. You know what I'm saying? And you know why people want you to do that? Because that puts them in a position of power. But nevertheless, say like X said one time, I'm going to repent one day, but not right now. Yeah, and that ain't how that worked, bro. He said you better seek him early while he may be found. Now, I'm mentioning all this as it pertains to the mercy seat and I mention all this because people in their word, man, especially with male-female dynamics, man, they don't be telling people the truth. They don't be giving sound advice. Everybody counsels on the aspect of, you got to look at things from a 360 perspective. You got to look at the totality of things. And the reason why you have to look at the totality of things, because the most important thing is the outcome. See, you can predict certain things, not because you are a prophet, because if you have wisdom and understanding and you can see certain scenarios, you're gonna know how this gonna end. You're gonna be able to predict that. I know how this gonna end. You know what I'm saying? I mentioned all that because you can see somebody, you could tell them, hey, if I was you, I wouldn't do this, and this is why. But at the end of the day, it's on them. Because they got to live with that decision. See, people get in the word and put themselves in authoritative positions. That's a fact, Sean. You got to judge for you who are not for yourself. Just like he told them in the Jehoshaphat's time in 2 Chronicles. And that's hard. I remember having a conversation where women used to deal with, and she telling me X, Y, Z, and she was like, oh, you only saying that because you don't like this person. I'm like, baby, I don't care about that nigga. And I don't care about nothing you got going on. But you asked me for my judgment. Now, of course, you thinking that I'm going to be personally inclined to tell you X, Y, Z. Well, baby, if I do that, now I've sinned. I can't judge like that. You gave me the scenario. I gave you my assessment according to what the words say. Now you could take it. You could do whatever you want to do. Which is why most of the time people don't ask me for my assessment, because I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you the truth. Now you can do what you want to do, but I'm not finna tickle your ears, and I'm not finna tell you what you want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Because God knows if I ask somebody for their thoughts or perspective on something, I don't want you to tell me what I want to hear. If you're going to tell me what I want to hear, then I know in reality, you don't really give a damn about me. Because what made you think I wanted you to tell me what you thought I wanted to hear? What the hell's wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? Nigga, that's crazy as hell. Now, I mentioned all that because that goes to one of the elements of what this is supposed to look like. We read it the other day. It's in the Ephesians and it's in Zechariah that every man speak truth to his neighbor. Don't lie to me, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Don't lie to me, man. Don't embolden me to do something that you know that might not work out good on my behalf because you feel like it'll make me happy. Nigga, we not 12. Nigga, I'm a grown man. You a grown woman. You's a grown man. You shouldn't want your friends to take. That's that Jeroboam stuff, man. Or Rehoboam, whichever one it was. You got to be careful that you don't do that. Remember that man had them elders to give him some wisdom, and he went to his friends, and he didn't want to hear what them elders had to say because they didn't tell him what he wanted to hear. His friends counseled according to his personal desires. It took him out. It took him out. Let me read that for you. Come over here to 1 Kings, man. What that is. I'm going to finish 1 Chronicles 28. I'm just saying, y'all, sucker, we had a, you know what I'm saying? We be having conversations about stuff when we could get to talking about some real stuff. Because niggas, this 1 Kings 12. Niggas don't be wanting to talk about no real stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? Because the people like to keep it on the surface. 1 Kings 12, yeah, it was Rehoboam. I know it one of them. I be forgetting. 1 Kings 12, man, verse 3. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't be wanting to talk about a lot of stuff niggas be talking about. You know what I'm saying? You get to the, you know what I'm saying? That's a fact too, Marvin. You who ain't begging for no love. Man, to get to the nitty-gritty of stuff, man, so you get some understanding that you could add to actually be a benefit to somebody. 1 Kings 12 and 3. Then they that sent called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation of Yasharal came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Your father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make you the grievous service of your father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve you. And he said unto them, Depart yet 3 days, and then come again to me. And the people departed. And the king Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father, while he yet lived, and said, How do you advise that I may answer this people? And he spake unto him, saying, If you will be a servant unto this people this day, to go back to what Yahusha said, which is the element of what this king is supposed to look like. His fourth is the body of believers, that you're supposed to serve one another. We'll go back to what Ish mentioned in Acts 2, in Acts 4. That's what it's supposed to look like. Just like we talked about the other day, what it's supposed to look like. We're supposed to carry each other's burdens. That's what it's supposed to look like. If one mourn, everybody mourn with them. That's what it's supposed to look like. But I continue. And if you will be a servant unto this people, this is 1 Kings 12 and 7. If you will be a servant unto this people this day and will serve them and answer them and speak good words to them, that they will be your servants forever. Let's look at it, see what if they use told for that. Facts, if you love me, why would you? Because a lot of times people be wanting to just tell people what they think. Well, you know, it ain't going to hurt nobody. And you're really not looking at the totality of the situation. You know what I'm saying? Which is what part of the reason, like if you ever seen that clip when Charleston White was talking about, you know, the father is not really appreciated till he dead and his presence is gone, because everybody look at the father as the party pooper. And he's not trying to crash your party. He's trying to give you a perspective so you can make a wise decision, especially if you're making a decision based off of feeling or desire. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're making decisions off of feelings and desires, you very well may make the wrong choice. Like I literally had a lady tell me the other day, feelings are facts. Baby, you stupid. My feelings don't deceive me. They just deceived you in saying that. Because your feelings will take you in the wrong direction. And what I mean by that is when you move by feelings and desire, if it's, like I said, if it's a circle around you, you only going to see this. And you're not going to pay attention to this. And that can have the likelihood to blow up in your face. And then sometimes what we like to do is look at the exception and not the rule. Because one person has success in it, which is why I mentioned that, why a lot of women are upset with that situation with the rapper and the ball player. Because if one whore gets wiped up by a rich, successful, respected man, all whores think, well, I have a chance because it happened for her. But baby, that's the exception. That ain't no rule. That's genuinely not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Because the biggest mistake that a lot of ladies make is they think because this man has money that he's a man of respect and he's a man of honor. Some dudes have money, but they press for intimacy. They press for codependency. They press for that. You know what I'm saying? They press for that. Yeah, anomalies are definitely not the norm with everything. They press for that, and you know, because you hear people say this all the time. You say you've had to sit down and consider my emotions at times, and I realized percentage of the time they weren't necessarily rational or justified in the moment sometimes. And that's good that you have the ability to be able to do that, and that's a sign of maturity and growth on your behalf that you have the ability to do that. Because everybody don't have the ability to do it, or they don't do it consistently. You know what I'm saying? Because your feelings will lie to you. You know what I'm saying? They will definitely tell you yeah, they'll definitely do that. And so you wanna be easy on that. You know what I'm saying? Because hey, it is what it is. And when you and if you're giving advice to people, you have to take that into account when you talking to them. So yeah, we got told the bar. This had to make so when you talking to them, because most people want you to facilitate information based on their feelings or their personal desires. You know what I'm saying? I've told people, a lot of people think they ain't want to hear it. Some of them still mad with me to this day about that. I was like, God damn, what type of friends you had growing up? Because I ain't grow up with niggas who was gonna tell me what I wanted to hear. If niggas was, hey man, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Now the difference is if it go wrong, niggas not finna sit around and talk about you. Nigga just gonna be like, hey bro, that just is what it is, my nigga. We gonna have to adjust and figure it out. You know what I'm saying? I know that's for a lot of ladies when they got a man and they tell him something and it don't go right, they have the tendency to want to throw that in his face. You know what I'm saying? A real woman just gonna be like, hey, she gonna give you a look and you gonna be like, shoot, you was right. And then, hey man, we gonna make best of the situation and circumstance. Real women ain't got to do all that. Oh, nigga, you should have listened to me. See, yeah, man, you get your goofy behind out my face. You know what I'm saying? Because you want some other stuff. So always better to use logic before emotions. Emotions can aid but never lead. And it's nothing wrong if you have your emotions. You know, you got to process them. I ain't saying you got to just disregard them, but you can't counsel people according to their emotions, or you can't counsel people according to your own emotions. You have to separate that from the counsel. You have to remove your feelings from it. If you can't remove your feelings from it, it's best not to give nobody no advice. It's best not. Shoot, it's not good to give anybody advice when they're angry, when they're sad. It's better for you to let them calm down, get a hold of themselves. Because number one, they're not going to be able to hear you because they're in a frenzied state. You know what I'm saying? And then number two, they're in a frenzied state, so they won't be able to receive what you're saying because they're only going to hear it through the filter of their emotions. You say how to move forward like Titus 1:13, rebuke. Yeah, we're going to get to that too. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, verse 8. But he forsook the counsel of the old men which they had given him and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him which stood before him. And he said unto them, what counsel give you that we may answer this people who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which my father did put upon us lighter. And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, you shall speak unto this people that spake unto you, saying, your father made our yoke heavy, but make it lighter unto us. Thus you shall say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. Back to first. Now, why did I mention that? Back to 1 Chronicles 28. Because a lot of times, man, and of course it's different, because, you know, you're usually going to have conversations with your peer group. But usually your peer group stupid as you. You know what I'm saying? And usually your peer group is going to counsel you according to what they think you want to do or what they think you want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Now, you know, I come from a generation of people where you went to the niggas who were older than you and you went and hollered at them. Now, unfortunately, it seems like in this generation with y'all, the older people is dumb as you. When I say dumb, I'm not talking about dumb as forth as lack of intelligence. I'm talking about really dumb as you ain't got no business talking. Now, you can be young and have a plethora of wisdom and understanding. That comes with life experience. You know what I'm saying? See, life experience in and of itself is not necessarily just the amount of time on the earth. Because as it says in Job, all aged men are not wise. You know what I'm saying? So just because you lived a long time doesn't necessarily mean that you have wisdom. It's the life experience you had in the time that you've been on the earth is where that wisdom is developed. And I can tell you one of the greatest pieces of wisdom that I was ever given is that you can learn from the experiences of others without going through it yourself. because that person went through it, so you didn't have to. And if you think that you need to go through it to see how it work out, you a special type of stupid. Because if somebody done went through it, that's why the books say those things that are written aforetime were written for our learning. They were written so you wouldn't have to go through that. The fact that you feel like you need to go through that is absolutely insane to me. And I thank the Lord I ain't never had that thought process coming up as a jit, man. Them old head told a nigga, hey, man, whoop, 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 man, my people told me, hey, check this out. Man, I ain't trying to go through that and find out if they telling the truth or not. You told me, man, I went through this and this is what happened. Young blood, don't do this right here. This is why. Okay, bet. You know what I'm saying? You done gave me something that's gonna last me a lifetime, and I can take this diamond or this ruby or this sapphire, and I can pass it to somebody else who may have not had somebody tell them that. Like, you ain't got to go through that, bro. I've seen this story before. You know, there's no life experience for the most part that ain't nobody went through. You just may have not went through it or know somebody who went through it. You know what I'm saying? But there's no strange life experience out here that nobody ain't experienced in the history of mankind. So when somebody come and telling you, hey, man, check this out. Boy, I've been through that already. Boy, let me tell you, man, you don't want to do that. Shoot, you be a fool not to listen. Man, it's always open the Second Chronicles, man. But grab the First Chronicles 28. Now, guys, I mentioned that because, like I said, when I was talking to my people, man, telling them, like, man, you can't tell people what to do. I can't tell you what to do. You know what I'm saying? I remember I didn't go through it. I remember telling a young lady, like, hey, man, if I was you, I wouldn't marry that dude. Based off of her personal experience with that man. She went and did it anyway. What I'm going to do? Cuss her out? Tell her you can't fellowship here? I ain't going to do none of that. You got to live with that outcome. And see, the difference is I didn't tell her that. I told her that is the same way I would tell my own daughter or tell my own sister. Like, yeah, I wouldn't do that if I was you. And that's not an indictment on the individual. You're given a scenario of certain things that you've dealt with. Baby, I can tell you that's probably going to happen again. Yeah, I don't know if you should do that. And when it did, and this nigga hollered at me, this nigga thought I was going to be like, I told you so. Hey, man, that ship done sailed, baby. Ain't no sense of dealing with what we discussed X amount of time long ago, baby. That ship done sailed. We got to figure out how we going to move forward. That ain't even nothing to discuss or to bring up. What's the point? You know what I'm saying? Ain't no point in that. But sometimes especially when you're young, you don't want to hear nothing because you want to do what you want to do. And you really think you know more than the people who telling you something. See, Rehoboam thought he knew more than them old men. That's why he rejected that, but he didn't have a heart to serve the people anyway. He wanted to rule over and oppress them anyway. That's what he wanted to do. So it wouldn't matter what those men said to him. You know what I'm saying? But First Chronicles 28, because I do need to at least lay down the cherubim aspect before we get out of here. Where I'm at with it, man. Verse 12. First Chronicles 28 and 12. But yeah, and then I'll lay down the tangibles of what some of that stuff looked like too, because I want to do that too. But I said, we was literally talking about this last night, man. Like, nah, you niggas tripping, bro. Because I'm not finna be ruled. I'm not ruling over nobody. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely not. You can do what you want to do. But you know what the book say do. And you can come up with whatever rationale or justification that you want to come up with. I'm not finna argue with you about it. Man, this book say what it say. You got to take that up with him. I'm not finna argue with you about it. If it's on the paper, it say what it say, take that up with him. Because that's what people want. I'm not finna argue with you about it, man. You know what I'm saying? At all. Because this ain't no social club, man. You know what I'm saying? You're either going to get in and fit in where that man wants you to be at, or like he said, you don't want to retain him in your knowledge, he's going to give you over to a reprobate mind. He's going to reject you. He'll be like, yeah, boom, I don't fool with you. And your mind going to go to the proclivities of your lust. Simple as that. First Chronicles 28 and 12. And the pattern of all that he had by the ruach of the course of the house of Yahuwah and all the chambers round about, and the treasuries of the house of Elohim, and the treasuries of the dedicated things. of the course of the priests and the Levites for all the work of the service of the house of Yahuwah, for all the vessels of service in the house of Yahuwah. And he gave of gold by weight for things of gold, for all instruments of manner of service, silver also for the instruments of silver by weight, and the instruments of every kind of service, even the weight of the candlesticks of gold, for the lamps of gold by the weight of every candlestick, for the lamps thereof, for the candlesticks of silver by weight, for the candlestick, and for the lamps thereof, according to the use of every candlestick. And by the weight he gave for gold the tables of shewbread for every table, likewise silver tables of silver, and also pure gold for the flesh hooks, the bowls and the cups and the golden basins, by weight for every basin, by weight for every basin of silver, and for the altar of incense refined gold by weight, and the gold for the pattern of the chariot of the cherubims that spread out and cover the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. All this, said David, Yahuwah made me to understand in writing his hand upon me, even all the works of this pattern. So again, I read all that to get to the 2 points where he say, well, the place in the parlors thereof and the place of the mercy seat, and how the cherubims cover the mercy seat. But now, let me get to this aspect right here, right? Each mentioned Acts 2. So let's come over here to that. And then we'll look at some of these elements of what that looked like. Before I read that, because I read it the other day, let me read John 13 one more time. Let me read John 13 one more time. This is verse 11 or verse 12. This is John 13 and 12. So after he had washed their feet and taken his garments and was set down again, he said unto them, know you not what I have done to you? You call me master and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and master, have washed your feet, you also to wash one another's feet. I've given you an example that you should do as I've done to you. Truly, truly, I say unto you, the servant is not greater than his Lord, neither is he that is sent greater than he that sent him. If you know these things, happy are you if you do them. And again, that's going to the element like I mentioned that we were talking about last night. This is John 13 and what? 34. If that is nobody over another per se. Now, when you're dealing with as forth as the workings of the assembly, yeah, there's a hierarchy. You know what I'm saying? Because that individual who's over it is responsible for it. He got to answer to God for it. That's why it's just not a free fall. You know what I'm saying? That's why ain't no votes cast. See, that's what got Aaron in trouble, because he listened to what the people wanted. That's what got Saul in trouble, because he listened to what the people wanted. You know what I'm saying? And did contrary to what God told him to do. And they had to answer for that. The people didn't necessarily answer for that, but they did. And I don't think that's what people consider. That individual who over that assembly, whether that assembly is 5 people or 5,000 people, he's going to answer for that. He's going to answer for that because he set him in charge over it. And I gave you the pattern and the structure of how I want my house ran. I don't give a damn what they want. You know what I'm saying? And you know the crazy part is, in general, most men, you ain't just gonna let your wife and your kids tell you how to run your house. If you did, that mean you a sucker. You know what I'm saying? You's a fortified, true blue sucker. You know what I'm saying? If your wife and kids can tell you this how we gonna run this thing, man, you can't even call yourself a man. Well, there's no way that you remember. Paul told you, if I yet please men, I wouldn't be the servant of Elohim. I told you before, man, you want to please everybody, sell ice cream. You're not going to please everybody and preach the word of God. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And most of y'all been in this word too long, reading this text either. That's not going to happen. Man, Moses couldn't please everybody. Moses ain't do nothing to them people, man. And people selling out about that man every single solitary moment they could. All they did was tell him what God told him to do and tell him what God told him to say. And it was always a problem. Now, if these people saw this man work all these miracles and they sold out by him, what chance you think you got? And you ain't working, you ain't doing nothing what Moses did. What chance you think you got? You ain't got now. But John 13:34. A new commandment I give unto you, that you love one another as I've loved you, that you also love one another. Now we know how he loved you. Greater love man have no man in this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. So we're going to come to Acts 2. This Acts 2 correlates to something in Jeremiah. We'll read that point in Jeremiah. This is Acts 2 and 37. Hold on one second. Oh yeah, I'm gonna type this thing. I don't remember what it is. I don't never remember what it verse after Jeremiah all these years. This is either chapter 24 or 25. And I'll never remember. Neither one of them. But nevertheless, Acts 2 and 37. Now, when they heard this, they were pricked in their heart and said unto Peter and to the rest of the apostles, Men and brethren, what shall we do? Then Peter said unto them, Repent and be immersed, every one of you, in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, for the remission of sins. You shall receive the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh. For the promise is unto you and to your sons, and to all that are afar off, as many as you who are your Elohim shall call. And with many words did he testify and exhort, saying, Save yourselves from this untoward generation. Then they that gladly received his word were immersed, and the same day were added unto them about 3,000 souls. And they continued steadfastly in the apostles' doctrine and fellowship, and breaking bread and in prayers. So when you deal with the apostles' doctrine, what the apostles' doctrine was, the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach, him in the volume of the book, that he the Son of God, that he is the Redeemer, that he gonna redeem you from the power of the grave, that he gonna make an end of sins and finish the transgression to make reconciliation for iniquity. That was what they taught, the ministry of reconciliation. You see what I'm saying? What we was loosely looking at in Hosea 2 recently, but we looked at previously. You know, I'm going to betroth you in faithfulness and loving kindness and in mercies. That was their instruction. And then they fellowship one with another. And it said, and fear came upon every soul. Many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. And all that believed were together and had all things common. And they sold their possessions and good and parted them to all as every man had need. They continuing daily with one accord in the temple and breaking bread from house to house, they eat their meat and with gladness and singleness of heart. Now, this is what some people look at it and say, okay, the first century assembly was house to house, which some of them did. That does not mean that they didn't go to the temple, and it does not mean that they didn't go to the synagogues. The more so aspect of you doing that on days they didn't go to the temple and synagogue, then they were breaking bread with each other. Now, that all things in common, we talked about that a couple years ago when I told you as an individual taking advantage of people as it pertains to that particular matter. So I know I went over it then. I'll reiterate it again. What does it mean to have all things in common? When you look at common, and we go to Jeremiah 32 in a moment, you know, belonging to generality, common, shared by all or several. Because, of course, I told you there's a gentleman run an organization. They tell that people, sell all your stuff, give me all your stuff. We all live out here together. But in reality, he oppressing these people because he's keeping the majority of the proceeds for himself. And the people don't own and control the land nor the houses that they live in. And that's not how them people operated. It wasn't an aspect of sell everything you got, let's move on a homestead. These people had excess things, they sold them and they broke bread with one another, or they took care of each other. If you down bad, I got you. If you down bad, I got you. It's not nothing exploitative. And in reality, it's what was in the law in the first place. Because they weren't doing nothing different than what was in the law in the first place. But let's come to Jeremiah 32. And then I'll read Acts 4 on top of it. And then I'll get some of the other elements that everybody mentioned. And then some of that stuff I mentioned is in Colossians. It's in what we talking about that we didn't talk about recently in Romans. Effectively, it is the you know, at the simplest terms is how Mika and Ish and Mother Sharona put it. Everybody at one heart and one way, they serving each other, and they serving each other in the facilitated need as it is called for. But then on top of that, it's sacrifice for each other. It's it's mercy towards each other. It's compassion towards each other. It's forgiveness towards each other. Because again, you're human beings. It's selflessness towards each other. It's not just looking at what's best for me. Like, we have to get out of that whole entire thought process. When it comes to some things, you have to be selfish per se. But when you're talking about when you interacting with other people, man, you can't enter into stuff and thinking about, well, as long as that's the best thing for me, that's all that matters. That's not the mind of God. Because if that was the case, then the Lord wouldn't have got on that tree. If he would have thought about what was best for him, he wouldn't have got on that tree. Straight up and down. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality of it. That's why he told you love don't seek her own. This doesn't mean that you know what I'm saying, you let people take advantage of you. That's not what's being communicated. You know what I'm talking about? But there's an aspect of, like we talked about last week, when you see this, remember he said, if you did this to the least of these, my brethren, you did it unto me. So when you see him, you see the Lord. So you mean to tell me you wouldn't do that for the Lord? That's why he say, depart from me into everlasting fire, prepared for the devil and his angels. Because if you look at him and say, I ain't gonna do that for him, for whatever reason. Now listen, I'm not talking about you can't do it. Because that's different. And we done talked about this plenty of times before. If you ask somebody for assistance and they can't help you and you get mad, you a buster. You know what I'm talking about? Because if you know this individual and you know if they could, they would, then that's fine. Nigga don't owe you no explanation. That's if that's your friend for real. See, if you love people and you care about people, then hey, well shoot, I know if you could, you would. There ain't no pressure. I still love you. I ain't walking around here mad with you. Every time we mention this here, you know I'm gonna tell you what Trick Daddy said. So if I ain't got it, I ain't your dog no more. Well, if that's the case, well, my nigga, I ain't got it then. Because some people are like that. Oh man, this nigga can do this junk, man. You really a hater. You know what I'm saying? That's what that means. Because you know what I'm saying? Because don't nobody owe you nothing but love. You know what I'm saying? And that's it. But the more so the aspect of, like I said, they had all these people considered others before themselves. And again, this doesn't mean that you're letting people take advantage of you or you're making yourself a doormat. It means that you are genuinely understanding that these things in this life is temporal. So if the things in this life are temporal, then you're considering the fact of, I can't take this with me. So if I'm not moved with bowels of compassion towards my brother who I say is in Christ and I'm in Christ, or if I say I'm in the Messiah, he in the Messiah, I'm in the Mashiach, he in the Mashiach, and we don't have that type of compassion towards each other, you think God gonna give it to us when we come seeking it from him? Again, it goes back to what we were discussing, that some people had this hard time understanding the pattern of David. Like when he say, I'll show you the show mercies of David, people missed it. David had a pattern of showing mercy and compassion on general principle. Not because he's thinking I'm going to smash some dude's wife and kill him for her. That was just genuinely who he was. So he had this pattern of doing that consistently. So when it came time for him to get some mercy, mercy could be extended. When you sit back, man, and you looking at people, man, and you ain't moved to no mercy whatsoever, boy, that speaks to a very foul condition inwardly. That should have already been purged out if we say we the children of God. Or how we can have more compassion for people outside the house and none for people inside the house. You don't tell that all the time because I sit back and I observe it. I see it. I hear the people conversation. Because we think, man, we're going to go out here and feed the homeless. Okay, that's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But it's a hungry nigga in your congregation, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't going to feed him? That's crazy work. And I'm mentioning that because I already know what he said on Acts 2 and Acts 4. But that's why he mentioned that, because they was lockstep like this here. What's happening is they was lockstep like this here. Go back to why we always read Job 41 when we do baptisms, man. The scales are close. Can't no air get in between. That separation and that selfishness, man, that's how Satan can get in between and wreak havoc. That's why Paul gave that instruction to, hey, man, if you're going to be separated for prayer and fasting, make sure you holler at your spouse about that. Don't have them wondering why you ain't touching them, man. Listen, man, I keep telling you, y'all are human beings, blood. We're people. And sometimes your mind can play tricks on you, or you go to think about this, that, and the third, and you don't want that to happen. And you know, this year, this last probably 4 to 6 months, I've been really hammering that home, man, for y'all to really understand that y'all got to give grace to each other to be a human being, my nigga. Everything that somebody say is not necessarily a lack of faith, man. Allow this person to have a human moment. Because when you having a human moment, you want somebody to do that for you. And we have to stop doing that to people. Just throwing up banal, plain explanations because you really, in reality, you're overwhelmed with the complexity of the emotions that the person is expressing, and you just don't have the courage to say, I don't really know what to say. You know, it's not a big deal to say, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to handle it. Sometimes, my nigga, just give him a hug, cuz, and don't say nothing. I told you, man, when my cousin's son killed himself, man, I ain't say nothing to her, man. I just stood there with her and held her while she cried, man. I ain't try to come up with no words to say this, that, then the third. Sometimes the best words is to say nothing. And just show some compassion, man, and just be there. Like straight like that. You ain't gonna do all that. Because sometimes when you do that, you can discourage somebody, man. Because life doesn't, the realities of life don't cease because we get in the word. And you don't stop being a human being because you in the word. Because listen, man, if that's the case, what you niggas would have said if you would have been out there with the Lord when he was like, man, if it was possible, let this cup pass. Y'all would have told him his faith was weak, my nigga. What y'all would have said to him if you heard him say that? Would you have ridiculed him? Or would you understand it's a human being, man? This man's building up the inner wherewithal and the intestinal and testicular fortitude to do something that most people are not going to do. And you can't allow him to have a moment to be a human being? God damn! Jeremiah 32 and 39, man. He said, I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever for the good of them and for their sons after them. And that goes back to when you see that it was in Acts 2. They had one heart and one way. What is way? That's the rock. They had one way of living. They were steadfast in the apostles' doctrine. They broke bread with one another, and they fellowship with each other. That's a fact, Omar, that Genesis 3 and 16 says the human experience wouldn't go away in the beginning, and that was said. You know what I'm saying? You say you agree grace is needed for those individuals, albeit family or friends who play in your face. Now, see, I ain't talking about people acting crazy. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about the aspect of you just something happened and you dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you got to step back and look at, oh shoot, bruh having a moment, sis having a moment. That moment is indicative of the strength or weakness of their faith. They having a moment. They're having a moment. Let them have that moment. Walk with them and help them process that moment. You flesh and blood, man. You know what I'm saying? You have feelings and emotions. They don't go away because you in the word, blood. They still there. You just let the word win out. You just let the word win out. Over those emotions and over those feelings and over those urges, you let the word win out. But you still got them. Because if the King of Kings, man, the son of Elohim had a moment, what make you think any of you better than him? Now, I always talk to you about what he did. He went and got 2 men, 3 men to come up with him, and he prayed to his father when he had that moment. And even in that moment, his father, son of Malachim, to strengthen him in that moment. So that's an example of tangibly what the assembly of a believer is supposed to look like. If that man weak, go strengthen him, my nigga. That go back to carry each other's burdens, man. Carry that hardship and toil for him, man. It's real out here, man. People be going through it. Man, I always tell y'all that, man. But if people be in the word, man, people out here going through it, blood. They out here going through it, man. In a multitude of different ways. And we have to be there for each other. He's saying the danger of not doing is that you could put yourself above what is written, not acknowledging the human aspect of this walk in life. And I know that happens, and I don't necessarily knock people for when that happens, because we take on a different type of thought process when we get in the word. Like I had people ask me, like, "Oh, the flesh go away, this, that, there, and the third." No, you're still a human being, blood. If somebody close to you would die, you're gonna have human emotions when that happens, and it's okay if you have them. Like straight up, it's okay if you have them. If you have disappointments because you sought to do X, Y, Z and it didn't go the way you planned it, it's okay if you have a particular reaction to that. You allowed to have that. A moment of sorrow, a moment of frustration, a moment of anxiety doesn't define you in your totality, because that's a moment. A moment doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do consistently. You having a moment don't define you, man. And we have to stop looking at people who in the word and defining them off of a singular moment in their life. Because that's not how he loved us. So why are we loving each other like that? You understand? This is not a conversation I'm talking about for people outside the house. I'm talking about for people who inside the house. We have to stop defining each other's faith by a singular moment. Allow them to be a human being and give them strength in a moment where they're weak. Give them strength in a moment where they're sad. Give them peace in a moment where they're frustrated and angry. Actually be a stay, help, and relief. Actually be who Yahushua was to us. The things that you want him to do for you, we have to do that for each other. We got to do that for each other. If we don't do that for each other, how are we even going to be who we claim that we desire to be? Because the people who outside the house looking at how we treat each other, why would they want to come move in with us when they see how we treat each other? I wouldn't want to be fooled up with you niggas, man. Come over here to Acts 4, man. Then I go to Colossians 3 with it. And of course, you know what Exodus 34 say. Yahuwah Elohim, merciful, gracious, abundant in goodness and truth, long suffering, showing mercy unto thousands, forgiving sin, iniquity, and transgression. That's the epitome of who he is and how he operates. We already know. What does he say he take pleasure in? He say, hey, man, that's how he asked the question. He said, how would people know that we know God? He said, I'll tell you what it is to know me. Let him that esteem that he understand and know that I'm Yahuwah, that exercise love and kindness, righteousness and judgment in the earth. These are the things that I take pleasure in. What is judgment? Y'all know that's mishpat. That's the ability to determine what's right and what's wrong. Just because I know what's right and what's wrong don't mean I have to weaponize it, because we read that the other day. He wounded and he healed. Because I told you, when dude said it's not our job to heal, that nigga pissed me off. The hell you mean it ain't your job to heal? Nigga, then shut your goofy behind up and go sit down somewhere. Because how in the hell you going to call yourself a servant of God and you want to give people the word and you say, it ain't my job to make you healthy? That means you don't love me, man. And what I want to talk to you for? You don't even care about me. Fundamentally, listen, man. I told y'all that before I was even in the word, man. I love anybody who looked like me, because that's how I was raised. There's never been a situation or any hood I ever been in where I felt uncomfortable being around black people. The day that I feel uncomfortable being around black people is the day I need to put a bullet in my brain, because I don't even need to breathe no more. That don't mean that I'm not aware of my surroundings and what's going on around me, but there'll never be a day that I should fear being around people who look like me. That's crazy. That's crazy. You see what I'm saying? I've been in hoods where niggas go on the wall, and I'm going to walk up here to this store and I'm going to kick it with people like I've been living around here my entire life. Because black people is black people, man. My people didn't raise us like that, man. You know what I'm saying? They ain't raised us like that. How you going to look, how you going to have disdain and trepidation and fear and angst to somebody who look like you? That means you got that for yourself when you look in the mirror. Because when I look at you, I see myself. You know what I'm saying? We all singing to the same beat, man. Just different lyrics. You did? So that's how you got to look at it, man. It ain't no different out here, man. It ain't no different out here, man. We all dealing with the same junk. Get over here to Acts 4 what blood mentions, man. Get this verse out the way. I might go a little longer than usual, but it's all ready. Where's my verse at, man? Verse 32. I'm on the wrong page. And the multitude of them this is Acts chapter 4, verse 32. And the multitude of them that believed were of one heart and of one soul. I mean, that's one leg, one nephash. We knit together. Y'all already know that. One Elohim, one faith, one baptism, one Elohim who's in all and through all. Ain't no separation. You read that, ain't no schism. That's why we all stick together. No air don't get in between. Because we all supposed to be in this together. And again, I ain't talking about all of us be together who fellowship at the assembly of the firstborn. I'm talking about we all supposed to be in together no matter where we at. You know what I'm saying? Just like I was telling Blood the other day, man, you think I'm finna be separated from my people from doctrinal differences, Blood? You crazy as all outdoors, man. I don't care nothing about that, man. Unless you on some real oofy goofy type of time, bro. I can be able to kick it with you, man. The difference is I'm not finna sit around and debate with you about no word. If that's what you think I came around here for, I'm gonna slide. Some of y'all, well, Darius know, and we'll know, because they was out there. When we pulled up on them brews out there in Atlantic Beach that day, and they was out there debating about something, and they tried to bring us into it, and they looked at me crazy, and I said, hey, Blood, we ain't come out here for that. Man, we came out here to kick it with y'all and for the hamburgers, man. I ain't come out here to debate no word with you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Whatever y'all got going on with that's between y'all. We ain't come out here for that. We came to break bread with you, man. We came to kick it with you, let you know, but we out here, man. We from here. It's whatever. Link up, tap in with us, man. Whatever we can do, hey, it's whatever. But arguing word with you, shoot, nigga, I could have stayed home for that. Because I ain't come out here to do that. I came to tap in with you, man. Build a real deal relationship for real. And a lot of brothers not on that, man. We get in the word and we forget how to link in and tap in with people, man. I'm gonna tap in with you, man. I ain't finna argue the word with you, Blood. I ain't gonna be like, oh, I keep the lunar Sabbath, or I can't fool with you. That's how you keep the Sabbath. They ain't got nothing to do with me. Because unless you talking about touching on people or doing some old like wicked junk, okay, I can't fool with you, Blood. You wild. You know what I'm saying? All that other stuff, I don't care nothing about that. Because I care about you as an individual. And I ain't coming around here to change your doctrine, infiltrate your congregation, get none of your man. I don't care about none of that. Man, holler at me when you need me, man. It's whatever. We got something going on. We're going to tap in with you. Pull up. Come tap in with us, man. It's going down. This is what we got. This is what we got going on. Holla at your peoples, man. Straight like that. I ain't got to be isolated on no island, man. We don't move like that. That's not how it is. Because that's not what you see in this book. Them people that look back, oh, they in the assembly in Corinth. I don't fool with them. Nigga, is you cool? What's wrong with you? You think God divided against himself? Because that's what we is out here, man. We divided against ourselves, and we actually use doctrine as an excuse for it. Sounded like a hippie just now. You know what I'm saying? Nah, for real though, like niggas, you cool, nigga. We'd be divided against ourselves. And again, I'm going to be clear. I'm not talking about no internet stuff, man. I'm talking about in real life. I'm talking about people be in the same city, man. Don't fool with each other. For whatever reason. You see what I'm saying? And I've always told you, man, we not on that. You know what I'm saying? And y'all willing, based off the present opportunity that's before us, we can be able to build them bridges to tap in with more people who in the city, man, who say this is what they own. You know what I'm saying? That's my goal in the if you will see fit. Nevertheless. Acts 4:32. And the multitude of them that believe were of one heart and of one soul, neither said any that all of the things which he possessed was his own, but they had all things common. With great power, the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Yahushua. And with great power gave the apostles witness of the resurrection of the Lord Yahushua. Again, this is part of their doctrine. And great grace was upon them all. Neither was there among them that lacked. For as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them and brought the prices of the things that were sold and laid down at the apostles' feet, and the distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. See, I told y'all that's the difference of what this nigga doing when he told people, oh, lay it down at the apostles' feet. Because he's taking this stuff and he's not distributing it to everybody as they have need. They saying, oh, we're going to use this to build the land up. That's not what they did. When they took all that stuff and they sold that stuff, brother such and such need this, give it to him. Sister such and such need this, give it to him. This, give it to him. This, give it to him. That's what they were doing. That's what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't doing what this nigga doing. So I'm not gonna mention this nigga name because this sucker nigga gonna feel like niggas mentioning him for clout. And I don't really care nothing about that. This is to make the delineation of what you can see that they doing using this verbiage is not what you see in this book that they were doing. Because that's not what they were doing. Again, I read it again. Neither was there among them, this is verse 34 of Acts chapter 4, that lacked, for as many as were possessors of land or houses sold them and brought the prices of things that were sold. Now that's the difference between us, most of us in this time period and that time period. Most of us don't own no land and no house to be selling. Most people, if you own a house, you live in that house. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that we wouldn't think that the Lord would want you to sell your house that you live in with your wife and your kids, and you ain't got nowhere to stay, and you got to go from here to here to here to here. No, I mean, if the people had excess houses, they sold them. If they had excess land, they sold them. You have to remember they're not in the land the same way as it was divvied up previously. Nevertheless, and they laid them down at the apostles' feet, and distribution was made unto every man according as he had need. And Joseph, who was by the apostles, was surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted as son of consolation, a Levite of the country of Cyprus, having land, sold it and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. And that's how they did that. That's how they did that. They didn't, it wasn't an aspect of you got access, you sold it. You brought it to the apostles took it, gave it to men of good report, they distributed that to people who needed it. Just that simple. You know what I'm saying? Where we need to go at? Come over here to Colossians. But that's what that looked like. And that's the love seek not our own. That's the selflessness aspect of it. Now, of course, in this dispensation of time, most of us don't have the resources or ability to even do anything of that sort. And it wasn't necessarily like let's everybody pool something together per se. But as we talked about before, and I don't plan on going over it at this particular time, you know, when you look at the offerings and things of that nature, even the tithes itself was for the poor, for the strangers, for the fatherless, for the widows, for the Levites, because they ain't have no inheritance. That would have made sure these people were straight. Which I say, that's why I say fundamentally what's in Acts 2 and Acts 4 is already in the law. Fundamentally, that's already supposed to have been done in the first place. You know what I'm saying? It ain't even really nothing new. Because all that's in the law. You know what I'm saying? Or why you supposed to, boom, drop this off and drop this off and drop this off. So if there was an orphan and he down bad, which is part of what that 1 Timothy 5 is about, that gets kind of misquoted as talking about a man who's not taking care of his wife and kids, when it's more so referring to somebody who's not taking care of the widows in his family. Because you're supposed to take care of those of your household before the assembly do it. Shalom, Sister Kelly. But that's another conversation for another day. This is Colossians 3 and 5. But I said, though, fundamentally, all the principles that Yahushua laid out, I say fundamentally what's in Acts 2 and Acts 4. And again, this is related to the Kippareth of the mercy seat. You know, the seat of atonement, that throne is to be representative of the mercy and love and kindness that God showed to us. We're supposed to be able to show that to each other. You know what I'm saying? But I say, but fundamentally, Acts 2 and 4, that's in your law. It's literally in your law. That's literally what all those offerings, all them tithes, that's what all that stuff was for. It's for those who are without. Because what you see them distributing in Acts 2 and Acts 4 was for those who are without. Those who down bad. That's what it's for. If you ain't down bad, that ain't for you. So then if ain't nobody down bad, it just sit there till somebody down bad, then you give it to them. Like that's it. And that's why I mentioned before, we won't go into this eating. That's why I told you, like, if all these, if you in a city and you got all these congregations together, man, the burden to look out for each other should be minimal. Because you got all these people. You know what I'm saying? So nobody wouldn't be down bad. But as like I say, because and you know, if each had the opportunity to speak on it, I know he could go on till next week talking about it. Nobody would ever, never, it wouldn't be no situations where people would be in dire straits per se. Because everybody is like this. You see what I'm saying? That's why I mentioned that to you, man. They probably gonna get realer and realer out here. Now I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. Like you look in Chicago, right? You probably got the largest Israelite congregation that's technically considered to be a mega church because they got over 2,000 members. You know what I'm saying? And you got 4 assemblies in that city that have a large contingent of believers. That doesn't mean that they have to all have to fellowship with each other, but do you understand the force of having all them people? That's it's easily 10 to 15,000 people on the low end in that one city that profess to be servants of Yahuwah. Ain't nowhere in the world we ain't supposed to be like this here and there's that many of us. But we be separated through doctrines and beefs and I'm mad because you said this and mad because you said that. Going back to what I was mentioning last week, man, because you won't even sit down and talk to a nigga, man. A lot of stuff can be dealt with if you just have a conversation. Because a lot of stuff probably ain't even that serious. Colossians 3 and 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon their wrath, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil conspicuance, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things sake the wrath of Elohim come on the sons of disobedience, into which you've also walked sometime when you lived in them, but now also put up all these: anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not one to another, seeing that you've put off the old man with his deeds, and you've put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him, where there is neither Greek nor Yahudim, circumcision nor uncircumcision, barbarian or Scythian, bond nor free, but a Mashiach is all, and in all. Put on therefore as the elect of Elohim, Kadash and beloved, bowels of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering, forbearing one another, forgiving one another. And if any man have quarrel against any, even as a Mashiach forgave you, so also. And above all these things, love, which is the bond of perfectness. And let the peace of Elohim rule in your hearts, to which you shall be called in one body, and be ye thankful. And let the word of Mashiach dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to the Lord. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahushua, giving thanks to Elohim and Abba by him. Let's swing over here to Zechariah 8. I got to get off here now. It's almost 9:30. I'll let some of this stuff bleed in. I laid the foundation of what I wanted to get on the mercy seat, but I did want to share with y'all what my dog said, because that jump for real though. You know what I'm saying? That jump for real though. And people don't consider it. You know what I'm saying? What does it tangibly look like for us to love each other? Because if he's going to draw us with love and kindness, we would need to be showing love and kindness to each other. And if we're not showing love and kindness to each other, why would anybody want to be affiliated with anything we got going on? How are we going to sit here and say Elohim is love, and then we ain't got no love in this for each other? And dealing with this, with the aspect of the mercy seat, would it be in the seat of atonement or the seat of reconciliation or the seat of purging? I mention that because that's what that throne represents. And I know we referenced some verses out of Proverbs 20 and Isaiah 16. And by the time we get finished dealing with this here, and we'll go back over Leviticus 16, because we haven't done that in that capacity in about a decade, and stuff like that. So we can fundamentally see that if we're saying that we want this love, this compassion, this mercy from he, who is the Father of all spirits, the Lord of heaven and earth, who of hosts is his name, then we have to be able to have that for each other. Because if he know our frame, and we but dust, then we should know each other's frame and have that same level of pity and care for each other. You know what I'm saying? And again, yes, I might help you. Again, this isn't a thing of dealing with people outside the house. This is dealing with what happened inside the house. How we deal with each other. Because how we deal with each other, listen, it's just like this here, right? If it's an issue with your old lady and you don't even consider it, that means he said, man, he that love his wife, love himself. So if you ain't even got no consideration or care for her, that means you ain't got it for yourself. And we have to pause and we got to sit back and look at that. You know what I'm saying? And if that, you know what I'm saying, like all the way around the board. Because that's what most people, when they get in this, they say they don't want to fool with it because they say, man, these people who in the world, look how they do their wives. Look how they do their churn. They be like, I don't want to fool with that. Or they be like, oh, these people out here hunching, or they doing this here, or they mean, or they nasty with each other. And then that means we out here blaspheming this man's name, man. His enemies running their mouth. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them need to be punched in their goddamn mouth. But you know, that's neither here nor there. I forgot why we're going. My God, today. Oh, Zechariah 8. Praise the Lord. This is Zechariah 8, verse 16. These are the things that you shall do. Speak you every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and shalom in your gates. Let none imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor, and love no false oath. For all these things I hate, saith Yahuwah. Again, what he told you to do, that go back to what I was telling you before, man. Don't be telling the nigga what they want to hear, man. Execute judgment of truth and peace in your gates, man. Speak you the truth every man to his neighbor. Speaking truth also don't mean that you have to be a douchebag and a a-hole when you do it. Ephesians 4 and 29. Now, some stuff you got to cut to the chase. And some stuff you got to be paid. You know, that's where your wisdom come in at. You know, y'all ain't no stupid people. Y'all understand. That page gone. Pull it up over here, man. Ephesians 4 and 19. Who being past feeling have given themselves over unto lasciviousness to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned of Mashiach, if so be that you have heard of him and been taught of him by him, as the truth is in Yahushua, that you put off concerning the former conduct, the old man, which is corrupt according to deceitful lust, and be renewed in the ruach of your mind, that you put on the new man, which is after Elohim is created in righteousness and true kadosh. Wherefore put away lying. Speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. Be ye angry and sin not. Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil. And I think a lot of people do that. Don't give place to that nigga, man. Don't give him no room to get in there, man. Let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that need. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Ruach HaKadosh of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. Be you kind to one another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Hamashiach's sake have forgiven you. Now, all these things he referencing for us to do is what God do. Now I want you to see that. What does he mean, man? Be tenderhearted. That Greek word is yosplankanos, compassionate, tenderhearted, having strong bowels, sympathetic. So we got to have to be able to be sympathetic to people. See, being sympathetic and empathetic is two different things. To have empathy means you can understand what somebody's going through. Like I told you, man, you know, some of y'all obviously done did it way more times than I have. As forth as being in there with your wife while she giving birth. You know what I'm saying? I can't be empathetic to her. I ain't never gave birth before. I can be sympathetic because I had a conversation with this lady, right? She was talking about it was wild to her that men ridicule women for getting the epidural. And I was like, niggas trip by that? And she thought I was trying to minimize that it happened. I was like, I'm not minimizing that it happened. I'm like, dudes really trip by that? Because all I think when Dee was having Joanne, she wanted to do it naturally. I know she did the laughing gas thing. And of course, there was obviously a issue where, of course, unbeknownst at the moment, where Joanne wasn't getting down in the birth canal for her to push her out. And then, and the same thing happened with Jamal, where she was like, okay, I'm going to get an epidural. And she felt bad about herself. But I'm like, ain't nothing to feel bad about. You thugged it out. You know what I'm saying? You feel like this is the best option for you to do, then that's what we going to do. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to be like, no, you can't get no epidural. And be walking around mad with it. Man, that's junk goofy as hell. Like, it's really people out here that damn stupid, man. Like, what's wrong with these people, man? Like, what's wrong with you? Because all I'm looking at, man, she in pain, she hurt. And that's why when she was having Jamal and that doctor was acting crazy, boy, I'm going to kill you in here, boy. I'm going to kill you in here, boy. I'm going to do something to you. I ain't no killer either, boy, but I'm going to do something to you about mine. And that's all I got to say. I'm not going back and forth with you. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to do something to you. So you have to learn, man, people dealing with stuff, you got to learn to be sympathetic to them, man. You got to have compassion for them. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about? Shoot, I know a lot of women do. That's unpainful. You know what I'm saying? If you do it without it, you're a real soldier, and I salute you. If you did it, if you got one, I ain't mad at you, because who am I to say? But I know some women look down and go, oh, she got an epidural, I didn't. You's a goofy. You's a goofy. You think that make you a better woman? Okay, you didn't get an epidural, but your character's bad, and you're a whore. Whoop-de-doo. You didn't get an epidural. You know what I'm saying? Peace, Brother Nate, man. Whoop-de-doggone do. You say, when you just said that, not weaponizing the word wounded heal, does that mean you can say the truth about someone in love, which might hurt them, but encourage? Yeah. When I say weaponize it, you got to say the truth in love. If you love somebody, you're going to tell them the truth. Weaponizing the word is you literally taking it, using it because you're trying to cause some type of damage to them, whether spiritually, mentally, or emotionally. You know what I'm saying? You taking the word and you're not using it with no intent to foster any type of growth, correction with care or nothing, just a weapon. So I felt bad when I got the epidural the first time. It was women I know who did it naturally with no drugs. Like I said, I thugged it out in 20-something hours. Before. Yeah, I mean, if you thugged it out for 20 hours and the baby ain't come, man, it's not my place to speak on that because I can't have no baby. So I have no earthly idea of what you experiencing. But see, I mentioned that to mention the beauty, love, and grace of a Mashiach. Because when Paul made mention that the woman be saved in childbirth, let me read it for you. I ain't going to just tell it to you. I can read it to you. Yes, that's where I wanted that, man. Oh, yeah, 2 Timothy 3, I need, man. No, that ain't it. I think it's in 1 Timothy, man. That's okay, man. God. First Timothy 2? Yeah, it's 1 Timothy 2. I'm tripping. 1 Timothy 2 and 14, right? And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith, love, and kadash with sobriety. You know what I'm saying? Because I always tell you that, man. Y'all already know that, man. And we take it for granted because it doesn't happen as often as it used to. But every time that woman go in to have that baby, man, she could die, blood. Every single time. Which is why you see some of the women having the talking points they have when it comes to women having children. You know what I'm saying? So I just told Lisa that today. Indeed. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? We all strong women. No, trust me, I understand. I already know it. Because you know what I'm saying? Because aside from, being in there with my old lady, I was there when Naisha had Simone. I was there when Muffin had Leah and Abby. You know what I'm saying? Man, that's a different level of strength. And I always tell y'all that, man. Like, well, you have to consider that, man. That woman could die, blood. She can die, bro. You know what I'm saying? And because most of us don't really know nobody who died in childbirth, that reality of that could happen don't really click in your brain because you just take it as routine. But she could die, bro. Like straight like that. You know what I'm saying? Me probably being in the streets and seeing certain stuff and knowing, you hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. But we go to jail today, man. Nigga can pull up around here, man, and go to dumping. You know what I'm saying? Like straight up, man, your life can change like that. And you'll never want to have no thought process, oh, no, that ain't going to happen to me. Because that's when it's going to happen to you. And then you're going to be standing more looking more fool than a white-faced mule, you understand? And yeah, you have to sit back and look. That's why I told you that the other day. Like, man, I'm not finna take my old lady through no another C-section and put her life at risk just to have another baby. Niggas, you crazy. You know what I'm saying? Not finna do it. You know what I'm saying? If we have one, we have one, but I'm not finna intentionally inseminate her knowing that I could put her life at risk. No, I'm not. And what I mean by, I told you that before, all you got to do is just know her ovulation cycle. If you know her ovulation cycle, the likelihood of you inseminating her is less. This is on the natural aspect. Yes, we know Yahuwah can open the womb at any given time. But if you know how he created the body, it is very difficult for life to be produced. That's the beauty and miracle of it when it's produced. You say, I had my first no epidural. The next two were C-sections. I know they did. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just mentioning that because I know that. She done had 3 C-sections. Man, I'm not finna be like, well, shoot, bump that junk, man. I want another one. Because it's easy for me to think like that because I ain't got to carry the baby. I ain't got to get the C-section. I ain't got to deal with none of it. You know what I'm saying? But if I say I love and care about this person, I'm going to take that in consideration. You know what I'm saying? I love you enough to not take you through that. So I'm cool. I'm good. It's not that serious. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that pressed. Then on besides that, nigga, I'm old, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna have all them doggone kids, nigga, and I die before these niggas even reach a certain age. You know what I'm saying? I ain't y'all, man. I'm not in my early 30s. Nigga, I'm closer to 50. So no, I'm good on that, bro. You don't have no kids and they 8, 9 years old, and I'd have died out this hole. But yeah, faith, love, and holiness and sobriety, man. And you know that Yahusha went through childbirth so that he could be that aid, help, and relief to the ladies when they go through it. He can have empathy because he experienced what they experienced. That's the beauty of your high priest. That's the love and the mercy and the kindness and compassion that he had, and he was willing to take on the aspect of childbirth in order to be an aid, help, and relief to a woman while she going through childbirth. You know what I'm saying? These are things that we have to consider. But let me get off here, man. It's almost 10 o'clock. Hallelujah for Yahushua and the word, man. We'll be back on here tomorrow. Make it do what it do. I appreciate y'all. Bless out the house of Elohim in the name of Yahushua. Hey, y'all, check this out, right? The book done dropped, right? Now, I can tell you this here right now, right? I can get copies for less than what it's sold for on Amazon. Now, if you want to buy it on Amazon, that's your business. But if you want a copy of it for less than what it's on Amazon, you let me know, I can order it and get it for you, and it can be exponentially less than what it is on Amazon. I think it's like $40 for the hardcover and $34 for the paperback. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, it's out. It's finished. Yeah, it's out. It's finished. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you want it for less than that, if you want to buy it on Amazon, that's cool. But if you want it for less than that, you let me know. I can get it. It'd be less than that. It'd be like, you know what I'm saying, $15 just in the shipping. You know what I'm saying? Or 20 at the most. But it'd be exponentially less for the paperback. It's on Amazon. You know what I'm saying? But it's exponentially less though. You know what I'm saying about? And that's just if you want it. Because if I get it to you less, I get it to you for less. Because we didn't write it that really break no bread. You know what I'm saying? So thank you. So, but that's that. And we hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. We did. So I don't know if I can bring people on the live I'll just send it to you. The link. I don't know if I can but like I said, it'd be better for you because it's linked up. Amen. It's linked up to Monsignor stuff, right? So I think that he'd get the majority of it. But I'm saying if you want it for less than what it's sold for, all you got to do is tell me. I can get him to order the author copies. You know what I'm saying? And I can get them mailed to you for less than what it's sold for online. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to do. Am I doing Audible as well for the book? No. It's just on hardback, paperback, and Kindle, I believe. You know what I'm saying? But if you want a physical copy of it, oh, well, I'm telling y'all that. You don't have to, if you want to pay $40 and $35, that's your business. But if you want it for 15 to 20 bucks, I can get it to you 15, 20 bucks. You know what I'm saying? But I mentioned also, I don't know if it's the capability to bring anybody on live, or if I do it off my phone. I got to figure that out. But we did hit 1,000 subscribers, so I can go just do. If I go live on my phone, it's going to be more informal. So that means if it's questions, thoughts you got, whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? You can do that there. It's not going to be what we do right here. Shalom, man. Hold it down, man. Yahuwah Baruch. So I might try it out tomorrow just to see how it rolls, because I ain't did it in a while. You know what I'm saying? And just be a random time. Ain't going to be no set time. And then we do it like that. I don't know if I forgot to call Lil Stan, man. I don't think we're going to be at the spot this week. So, I mean, we'll probably start between, I really say, man, because shoot, ain't nobody volunteered, so we'd probably be over here. I would say for y'all to be here about 1:30, man, so I can start at 2:00. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, preferably we get back to, years back we used to start at 1:00, and that's because we used to be at the library. You know what I'm saying? So we had to probably get back, especially in the summertime, man, to start earlier so we can be done earlier. So them children can burn off some steam, if you would. You know what I'm talking about? In contrast to when we at the spot. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, oh, yeah. And second Passover, I was just about to mention that, so I appreciate you. Second Passover is Saturday night. So I think the Maxwell's going to be here for it. I think Doris going to be ready for it. So that means I will stream Saturday night because we'll have people for second Passover. Physical attendance is not required if you don't want to stay for it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to stay for it, that's fine. I'm probably not going to go that long. You know what I'm talking about in comparison? But if you do want to stay, we probably we can do a potluck if you so choose. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can get with Deidre about that. And we can rock it out like that. I meant to mention that last week. Okay, that's for sure, me. You know what I'm saying? But it slipped my mind. Because every year we may not do a second Passover, so it slipped my mind. But I know the Maxwells and Doris is supposed to be Deshaun hit me up. I think if y'all willing, they're gonna be here, man. And for Doris to do it. And I think Micaiah too. I think she'll be ready to do it also. Peace, Brother Joseph, man. So I don't think there's nobody else. Oh, and I think Leah too. So amen, man. Love you, bro. Hold it down. So yeah, we'll have service Saturday. Peace, Brother Omar. We'll have service Saturday night for second Passover. And yeah, so that's that. So with that being said, again, I appreciate y'all. Bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of y'all. I love y'all, man. Y'all hold it down. Y'all willing to Shabbat, man. Till that time.